Hello everyone, my name is Nitsu, and I'm back with another gameplay commentary video. This one is coming out of Japan, and yeah, I don't exactly know who the players are to at least commentate on that. I probably should have their translated names on screen when they show them, but yeah, it's interesting to see what Japan has in store for us. So I think one player is on Purple Hybrids and the other player is on Imperial. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup because if Imperial's able to do its Imperial things, then it reasonably should be able to outspeed and make it very difficult for Purple Hybrids to actually perform what it needs to do, because it could just stun lock the field and get rid of the tamers, and it just has a lot of tools to handle a lot of decks, but its main weakness is consistency. So Japan I know is best of one. I don't actually know if this match is best of one, but it'll be interesting to see what unfolds. So I'd say that's actually a pretty good starting hand for Imperial. They at least have turn one with Wormmon and Rising and Davis, and usually that's kind of what I look at when it comes to if this hand is worth keeping is, do I have a turn one possible turn two play? And because of that Davis, it allows them to be able to dig for that. On the other side, that is a really aggressive and probably a pretty good opening hand for Purple Hybrids, because Purple Hybrid has double Uko, so it could use the Ukos to not only cycle and be aggressive, but find whatever parts and pieces it's missing, and especially in the early stages of the game, Imperial is still trying to develop, so those Ukos could actually go quite a long way on being able to be very effective cards. So they both have pretty decent opening hands, so it looks like they're going to be starting soon. Everything seems to be in place, and it looks like they're just waiting for the all good to be able to start. Alright, so now we're actually getting into the match. I don't actually know who's going first. It looks like Imperial is going first. So Imperial going first, like I said, there's the Wormmon, so they get to draw. The HexaBlaumons are going to be really good in this matchup. Like, the HexaBlaumons, some cards tipped over, but that's okay. That's why they had the hands, thank God they have the hand camera. So the HexaBlaumons will go in a long way to be able to, oh my God, his cards are just sliding all over the place. He does get 2 hits. One of them is a Ken and Davis. So next turn, he's most likely going to set up a Ken and Davis. Oh, no, that's just the, I thought that was the Wormmon search. That's the Davis search. So Davis only gets 1 hit, which is pretty unfortunate. And 2 Ken and Davises going away, that's definitely a huge hit. So that's going to put the Purple Hybrids player in a definite advantageous position. So they drew a mat, and they're going to play Ukomon. And then are they just going to play out a Floodgate? No, they probably would want to search in this position. So I would use the Memory Boost and then maybe set up the Psychmon. But it looks like they're just thinking about just hard playing the Psychmon. So the reason why I would play Purple Memory Boost first is so that way I have more information to be able to get and set up what I'm looking for. So top 4 cards, 0 hits. That's pretty brutal on Purple Hybrid's perspective because they definitely needed to try to find the Duskmon. This was a good way to try to get them closer to a Duskmon, so it's not like the misses actually, like, it matters, don't get me wrong, but it just means it gets them closer to finding the Duskmon that they needed. So they're going to draw into a Ken and Davis. That's pretty big, so probably I would just set the Ken and Davis and pass turn, choke them to 1. They are going to be, Purple Hybrids is going to start being able to be hyper-aggressive. So they get to move out, search with the Ukomon, and then they'll have more information on what they, oh, so 2 Dusk hits. So you're 100% taking a Duskmon. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Well, there's an argument for the Gazimon, but they could always try to find the Gazimon. But in order for Purple Hybrids to do what it needs to, it needs the Duskmon, because that's the key card. So I probably would set up either a mem setter, like one of the mem setting mats, or I would probably just Evo into the Ukomon and kind of evaluate what the draw off of the Ukomon is. So I think that Ukomon is my preferred personal play, because then you don't have to swing with the Ukomon, and then you could get 2 Uko searches to be able to dig for whatever you need. So it looks like they are going to be digivolving into the Ukomon. I don't think that they're going to be swinging, but they could honestly play the Psych, knowing that they have 2 Ukos to be able to try to play out another, try to find another rookie. So they are going to swing with the Uko. I think that's very ambitious. It's not bad. It doesn't feel incorrect because they get to gain a memory off of the Cupid. So they get to discard the Vulgar, which is what they want in order to set up. And now I 100% would play a memory setting Tamer. Probably one of the mats. You could play the early mat, but like the early BT2 mat. But honestly, I think you just go for the other mem setter for the discards. And then off of the Ukomon, try to play the other mat. So they are just going to play the BT2 mat, grab the Psychmon, so that way they actually have a purple Digimon to grab, so the Vulgar stays in trash. And now they're basically good to go to be hyper-aggressive and chip every single turn, because the mat's going to put them to 3, then the mat is going to get replayed off of the Dusk Velgar when it deletes itself, so that way it's not giving the opponent anything to react and respond with, on top of the fact that it gets to grab back the Dusk to do it over and over again. So they're just going to hide in Raising, evolve into the Sting. Their hand is developing in not necessarily the greatest ways, and this is kind of like the semi-bricky nature of Imperial, is like, it does need a lot of parts and pieces to do its thing, so, what do you even do here? I think, like, you could honestly throw away the Scramble, so you could try to set up, Ice Wall, go, like, Ice Wall Scramble, just in case if they hit like a rookie out of your security, then, oh, he's just evolving in Raising. That's an interesting choice. So yeah, just evolving into Imperialdramon and Raising. So the argument for setting up the Scramble instead of doing this is because if they hit a rookie and it goes into your trash from your security, you could put it on top, like you could play the rookie out basically. And that allows you to get going. So they are going to Ukomon. Ukomon grabs them. I didn't exactly see what card it grabbed them. A Promote. So the Promote is really good at just finding extra damage out of nowhere. So it looks like the Purple Hybrids player is definitely in a huge advantageous position. So I think, yeah, they're going to Psych and Raising just to draw the card. See what they draw. Jack Raid. That's pretty good at, again, just allowing you to have extra memory. So I think you do just Dusk Velgar, delete yourself. Even though it's not going to delete anything on the opponents, it just increases the pressure that you're going to be presenting. And then you could end in like a Psychmon or something, just because they're going to be put to 3 anyway. But there's no real reason not to like get a chip in with the Dusk Loop, because that's also drawing you cards as you're evolving, to churn and burn through your deck a little bit better to try to find your answers. You're still going to be milling at least 2 cards. Actually, you could mill 3 cards from both players, and this is kind of a matchup why I think like setting up the Blue Scramble over evolving and Raising probably was the better idea. So it looks like they are going to evolve. Hold on. Was that for 2? Because that should be for 3. So let's rewind. Oh, so they were at 4 because that's a 4-cost evolution. Okay, so no, they're correct. I'm incorrect. I thought that he was at 3 for some reason. So this is still just a fine play. He gets to draw into another Dusk, which is really good. Probably change the Davis, not the Davis Ken, to just whatever color. It doesn't really matter. So it could be red. Or purple, it, again, doesn't matter. You just want the different colors. So now the Duskmon can swing use its when attacking ability to evolve from the trash into the Vulgarmon, mill 6 cards total for an extra plus 6k DP, 3 from the opponent, 3 from himself. He's gonna crack the boost. Interesting on the fact that he's cracking the boost. I don't think you needed to do that right away, but he might have a play. Why is he spending 2 memory? Because this should be a free evolution. So I don't know why the 2 memory was spent after cracking the boost, going up to 3. So they get a mill a total of 6 cards between both players. Hitting the rival was really good, because now you could actually use the delay to grab back whatever purple Digimon you want. Like, Rival is just such a good card, because if it's played anywhere but from the deck, it is just good removal, and then if it's milled from the deck, then it's the retrieval. So he could kind of just retrieve whatever he wants. Hitting another Davis, that's pretty big, because now he gets to search. So this is always the interesting thing. So he has to resolve the security effect first to see what targets he wants. So he does get 2 hits. So that's really good. Taking the extra rookie is very strong. And then if he wants to, now he could end of attack trigger to delete himself. To delete nothing on the opponents, but the fact that you delete yourself, play out the mat that was already under him to grab the Dusk, just creates this 3-card combo loop that the opponent doesn't really have a good answer for at this moment. So now he gets to grab back the Duskmon. He doesn't technically have to grab back the Duskmon. It's just there's no other real reason not to grab back the Duskmon. Because if you get a good tamer lineup as Purple Hybrids, then having the multiple Duskmon just means you have multiple points of aggression. And it just means you don't have to rely on always needing to see the same Duskmon and have ways to retrieve it, even though he does. But in this type of a position, probably just set up another mat. Probably the discard mat is the one I would set up next, so that way you have some extra memory to play around with, because you can move up the Psychmon. Psychmon hopefully will delete himself through the security attack, which will trigger the Cupid in combination with the mat to essentially just gain 2 memory for attacking, which is really strong. So if I was the Imperial player, next turn I would definitely be looking at an Ice Wall to try to limit how much damage the opponent is able to deal. So it looks like he's just thinking through what he reasonably wants to do. You could reasonably chip with the Uko, but the Uko search also isn't bad. But I definitely think setting up another tamer is going to be for the deck's overall benefit, just because it is a tamer-based deck. Even though you could go infinite combo off of one, just having more tamers means you have more possible ways to aggress, and because it's the starter deck 16 mat, he is going to have to pay 3 for that Evo versus 2 off of a Koichi, but if he doesn't want to Evo, then he could still use the mat to gain extra memory, which is important. So now Imperial is going to be moving out. He gets to play the Wormmon for free, so the Pail's moving out. He gets to play the Wormmon for free off of the Ken and Davis to be able to look for a target, so he can just pick any one of these. Based on his hand, there's not really a good answer. Probably, yeah, I would just take any level 4. I don't particularly think it matters. So this is probably a turn where you're going to need to HexaBlaumon, because HexaBlaumon will just turn off a lot of aggression on the Purple Hybrid side, because they could Digivolve into their Duskmon, but they won't be able to swing because they'll have less sources than HexaBlaumon, which is a very good distinction point, so that way it keeps the Vulgarmon from being able to be useful, let alone the Duskmon from being useful, and that eats up a whole tamer. So he is going to go into HexaBlaumon, which also is going to remove one of these tamers, which is absolutely huge. So the BT2 tamer is arguably the better of the 2 tamers, so that's the one I would probably remove. So also hitting the inheritable on the egg is pretty big of a deal, because it just... Oh, he's getting rid of the extra memory one? I would think getting rid of the BT2 one stops the loop based on the information that you have here. Like, obviously, we know that he has a second one in hand, but it forces him to then have it and find a way to put it in your trash, and HexaBlaumon is just going to be floodgating the Purple Hybrid player out of potentially making his cards useful. So I guess maybe by that logic, if they can't swing with the Digimon they would Digivolve on top of the mat with, then the other mat was a better pick, because that one at least could suspend and still gain a memory for whenever you're discarding. So if he has like a BT7 Koichi, then he could essentially make that Koichi cost 2 instead of costing the 3 it normally does. So he gets to move out and search. So what did he find? He found one card that's not useful, which is Arrivals. He found the Nidhogg, and then he's debating about the Vulgar. Oh, that's a tough one. I would consider... I mean, so the Vulgar needs to attack in order to delete himself. So maybe he's just going for the mill plan on the Vulgar. Because otherwise, I think just taking the Nidhogg might make more sense in case you do find a Koichi to be able to discard. Then you would be able to discard the Nidhogg to effectively make that Koichi 2 memory that way. So Purple Hybrids is in a pretty sticky spot. So what exactly do you do here? Because you're not able to actually Digivolve and attack anymore. So even though your Psych is annoying, it's not really doing anything against this matchup in particular. So this is the point where if you just kind of have to Rivals. Like, I think that's the honest answer, is just Rivals. It does give up, unfortunately, a lot of memory, but that's your only out to the HexaBlaumon, locking you out of actually playing the game. So any other move just doesn't feel correct. I mean, obviously you could Digivolve and Raising, get that extra card draw, and kind of see what you got to work with. So, ooh, that's an interesting card. I don't think it's that useful in this matchup either. So, honestly, it is just Rivals. Like, you're just going to have to concede 4 memory, which is a lot. But at least you are able to play the game after the HexaBlaum's gone. And the partition doesn't work on this one because there's not a blue and a green level 4. There's just the green level 4. So you won't be able to split it out. So, I don't think there's enough cards in trash at this point for Jackraid to really matter. So, yeah, you literally are just left with one play, otherwise you're not effectively doing much of anything. I think he's just, like, deliberating through some various other play lines. Obviously, he's counting memory in case he does try to do something. Ooh, he's Digivolving on top. So, that's a pretty interesting move. Maybe he's just going to Digivolve on top of it just to get some mill in, and then be able to potentially attack next turn with the Vulgar. So if there's not really a good response to this Vulgarmon, then the Vulgarmon is actually going to be in a very commanding position. And then if the Vulgarmon does attack and is able to delete himself, then he does get to try to reset and play a Tamer out, which he could discard off of the Cupimon. So I kind of like and respect this play. Unfortunately, he can't swing to be able to attack and evolve from the trash, but I definitely respect this play. Because that way he gets to keep his Tamer, try to set up another Tamer for free, still be able to attack and delete the Digimon. So is that what the play line is? Is just Evo for 1, pass it at 1 on the opponent, and yeah, that is the play. So there's going to be still 3 cards milled, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for the Purple Hybrids player, because they're still trying to set up their trash, and then this just makes the potential future Jackraid even better. So now it goes to the Imperial's turn. The end of turn effect on the Tamer is going to bounce the Wormmon that was played off of the Tamer. So now he gets to hatch an egg, and it looks like Imperial's kind of in the hot seat now. So it was a game that was looking pretty dire, literally until HexaBlaumon came and said, hey, we're going to stop all aggression. So he found the Stingmon, so that's really good because we already know he took the blue level 4 last time. And I think he is just going to DNA and set up and start going ham. So he evos into the blue for 2, which is good. Draws a card for that evo, and then the Sting now costs 3. So he'll gain 1 memory off of the Tamer and 1 memory off of the XV. So he gets to maintain turn because of the 2 memory with the end of turn DNA. So that's really powerful, especially since this is going to source strip the Vulgar, so it puts the Dusk in trash, it gets rid of the egg, inheritable, so that's going to definitely screw up Purple Hybrids on top of the fact that they can't multi-attack, which that's not that big of a deal. Most of the time Purple Hybrids just single point attacks and then just redoes that over and over again. But the fact that it suspends the field is also pretty relevant, so that way if he wanted to, he could start like chipping at his field to start controlling and getting rid of the problems. So this is a really good position for Imperial, and this kind of just goes to show the power of like Ken and Davis. Just being able to set up that extra body for free to then line up your DNAs even easier is just absolutely nuts. So he is going to attack into the Ukomon just to get rid of the Ukomon. It doesn't seem like a problem that he's not attacking the security, so that way he doesn't hit anything he doesn't necessarily want the Purple Hybrids player to have in terms of extra resources, because hitting stray Tamers and hitting like memory boosts and whatnot is and can be pretty brutal at times. So I think getting rid of the Digimon, knowing that you're not going to try to go for game this turn, is probably correct. So he's going to swing into the Vulgarmon with the HexaBlau, which again is fine. Not attacking security just to ensure lethal the following turn is probably correct, because the security is unusable by the Purple Hybrid player. So he does have the Vmon. He's going to set up the Vmon in Raising. He already has another Wormmon in hand. Interesting that he has Hidden Potential. Is he going to just try using Hidden Potential this turn to Digivolve into either another HexaBlaumon or an Imperial? I think that would be pretty smart. He does have the Scramble, so probably setting up the Scramble might be more advantageous, even though I think there is a blue rookie in his trash. I think we saw a Vmon go there from a mill. So setting up the blue Scramble isn't terrible either, because he's going to be passing memory over anyway, but he is going to end up going with the HPD play, because if it's Imperial, then he just gets to unsuspend anyway. No, he's just going to put him under double Hexablau, which I think kind of just spells GG, because not only do they have to fight through one Hexablau, now they have to fight through a second Hexablau with no Tamers currently set up on their field. So that's going to be incredibly brutal. Yeah, so he's probably examining the card and being like, hold on, your Digimon Digivolved into blue doesn't have to be green? No, the Digimon that you're Digivolving from just has to be green. So now he's looking at 4 security checks next turn, and if Imperial is able to DNA again, then we're possibly looking at game, because Imperialdramon will just be able to swing for the last security and the game. So setting up a second Davis and Ken, even though that does pass over a decent amount of memory, is not a bad spot, because that just allows him to have easier setup to DNA. And then it obviously gives him more memory to play with later, because of the fact that each Ken and Davis will be able to source strip and gain the memory when he digivolves. The source stripping is only for when he DNAs. So that is an important distinction to make, but I don't necessarily think it matters that much, because no Tamers is really brutal. As somebody who's been slightly practicing with Purple Hybrids and has understand and played against Purple Hybrids, having their Tamers on the field is part of what makes Purple Hybrids really good, is because they just reuse them over and over again, and they gain lots of value for reusing them, and this is just not looking like Purple Hybrids' game. Like, honestly, maybe last turn you should have just bit the bullet and used the... instead of Digivolving up, you probably should have just gotten rid of one Hexablau. because now you're kind of just forced to get rid of the HexaBlaumon now, and that's not that great of a play because you still don't have a tamer set up, and you're potentially looking at lethal if the opponent does have a multi-attacking DNA, which, as Imperial, they can be able to search off of the two Kens and Davises if it's the right Warbons and Vmons, so they are going to move up, and they can't attack or anything, so it's not like moving up really matters in this type of scenario. It just means next turn he gets to hatch an egg and draw if there is going to be a next turn. So, in this situation, yeah, I think he's still going to make the same type of play, where he's just going to evolve into Dusk. The damage is kind of already done, because if you Digivolve into Vulgar, you still mill, and maybe that's the angle he's trying to play towards, is the mill out. But without being able to multi-attack and keep doing that multiple times in a single turn, it just makes it not very efficient. So maybe he's just trying to draw into something better, and that's the reason why he's doing it, because if he just uses one of the Rivals Barrages, the Rivals Barrage in his hand, the only one we could see, then like that kind of does pass your turn. It passes it over at 3, which is fine, because he's going to go to 3 anyway. So he's going to grab the Vulgar back, Digivolve into said Vulgar, and then still not be able to attack or do anything. So, but again, maybe he's just trying to cycle. Interestingly enough, maybe you could Digivolve into Vulgar. Oh, no, and then you could get possibly one swing with the Ginkaku, because you could Digivolve on top of the Ginkaku. Oh, maybe that's the play. Maybe they're trying to use the Jack Raid to Digivolve into Promote to swing over one of the Digimon, and then use Rivals, even though that does pass a lot of memory over, to clear the other one. But that at least gets you something, right? Otherwise, like, what is the play? Just Tamer Pass? And that still feels very mediocre. I mean, he could also Memory Boost Pass, but you really want to set up a Tamer. That's like the whole point of Tamer-based decks, is to play Tamers. And to have them on the field to be able to hybrid with. At least if you're a hybrid Tamer-based deck. Because you do have like cross-based Tamer decks, but that's not anywhere in this matchup. So it looks like he is thinking about using the Jack Raid. Does he have 3 Jack Raids in hand? Or is that just 2? He does have 3 Jack Raids. So he is going to be using 1 Jack Raid to gain 1 memory. I wish they would do it in groups of 5, so that way they could count better. Or maybe it is groups of 5 and I just can't count. No, it is groups of 5 and I just can't count. That's fine. So now he has to use, what, 1 more Jack Raid in order to make the third one cost, or gain 2 additional memory? So I think he's just doing that math now. So you use 1 more Jack Raid, go up to 2, use another Jack Raid, go up to 4, promotes, swing over one of the HexaBlaumons because you would have more sources, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you would have more sources. Because you would have 1, 2, 3. No, it's... Yeah, that doesn't work either. I'm just realizing that doesn't work. Because HexaBlaumon is equal to or less. So even if he does match the sources, he doesn't have less sources. Because each of these HexaBlaumons have 4 sources each. So if you Digivolve into the Promote to be able to swing, then you still don't have enough sources. So, I mean, you could Digivolve into the Argamon, and that's what you'd have to do, suspending his 3 Tamers. So maybe the play is Digivolve into Promote, Digivolve into Argamon, suspend his 3 Tamers down to be able to attack, and then Rivals. So that would clear fields, but that wouldn't necessarily mean it's the end of the game. So he is going to Digivolve into the... Oh, he's not even wasting time with the Promote. He's just Digivolving right up into Argo. I don't think he would still be able to attack because now you have equal sources. It just means now that the Argamon locks down the memory gain and source stripping potential off of the Kens and Davises. It doesn't stop them from playing out more Worm and Vmons. So just end the turn by playing a Tamer, grab back probably a Dusk or something. Oh no, a Jack Raid. Grab back a Jack Raid so that way he can have access at Jack Raid to gain an instant 2 memory next turn. So I think he still seems dead on field. Like, if my math is correct and everything in his hand is lining up the way I think it is, I think he is just dead on field. Because each HexaBlau is swinging twice. The deck usually doesn't run anything that's higher than 12k most of the time. It would be like Death X or either of the Gallantmons that he's, like, truly afraid of. And there's no aces. So I don't exactly know how Hybrids is going to live this turn unless there's, like, rivals out of security. We already know 2 rivals is gone. We already know that the majority of the Jack Raids are gone, so it doesn't really feel like there's a lot of security threats. So off of one of the Tamers, he's going to play the Wormmon. He's going to dig out the... Ooh, that's the starter deck Imperial. So that allows him to split out more sources to then line up another DNA. So he's just going to try going absolutely crazy here. So Digivolve for 1 because it is the promo Vmon that reduces Digivolution cost. So that's good because now he could Digivolve into Togumogumon. Interesting. Just probably because he needed a green source. Yeah, because he doesn't have the Sting in hand. So now he gets to DNA. He gets to gain at least 1 memory, so that's fine. DNA, and now he gets to go ham. So he suspends the field, which again is pretty important. Because if he really wanted to, now HexaBlaumon would be able to trade with it because Iceclad's not looking at DP. So that's a pretty interesting point of contention. So he suspends his Digimon down. I mean, he could just swing over it with the Pail. But I think, like, if you have it, you just go for game here, right? I think maybe he's just trying to play safe. I mean, it is finals for them, so playing safe doesn't seem like it's a bad play. But that just means he gets to play out a Tamer from his trash. So, like, honestly, you could have just ignored it. So the Cupimon also is going to anti-tempo him. And you already used up your hidden potential. So you don't really have an effective way of gaining additional memory anymore. So maybe he's just hoping that the double HexaBlau lockdown is just going to be good enough to prevent the Purple Hybrids player from playing the game. And he is... Oh, he does have Retail. But because of the effect-based deletion, he gets to partition. So getting the Digimon to re-DNA is actually pretty good because that just gives him the memory back. So that was a very impressive play, giving himself the memory back, putting himself effectively in the same spot. It is a worse Imperialdramon, but it's still multi-attacks, and that's all you need because now each HexaBlau is doing 2 checks. So as long as there's no security threats in the Purple Hybrids player's security, the game is kind of just over. So you would end up just swinging, hoping the security works out in your favor, which it looks like it kind of is. There still is the potential of arrivals, so maybe he's just playing extra safe. So I think he's just looking at his trash so he could kind of evaluate what is not going to be a potential security threat, because he did kind of look at those options, it felt like. So he's just like, okay, what's actually in here? What can I discern would possibly be in your security based on what I saw from your deck? So he is going to start going in. 2 checks. He gets to draw a card. First check, memory boost, not a security threat. Second check, vulgar, still no security threat. Swing into security again, 2 more checks. He's at deck out, so that's Koichi. So this is basically his last turn. A second Koichi. So all this attack needs to do is not be a security bomb, and Imperial kind of just wins the game from here. Off of the back of HexaBlau. So having no deck is scary, but if you win the game, then that's fine. So he is going to resolve discarding... so this is why I probably would have taken the, like, way back turns ago. This is where an example of taking the, Nidhogg would have been really good and really important. So he's asking, what options do you have? So there's 2 rivals gone and 3 Jack Raid's gone. We already know what Jack Raid is in his hand and a Rivals is in his hand, and that's going to be the game. So he just needed that not to be a security threat. Wow. Imperial taking it. So that was a pretty interesting back and forth, but that's like the dynamic of how much HexaBlaumon can change. And the fact that HexaBlaumon was able to floodgate the opponent basically out of playing the game, even though the Imperial player's start was really slow, the fact that HexaBlaumon was just single-handedly good enough to halt any progress that the opponent made really started putting him majorly on the back foot, because he had to jump through hoops and he still wasn't able to clear it. That's why maybe like using the rivals to at least get rid of the 1, and then I think like using promote to evolve into a, like on your Vulgar stack, and then digivolving on top of that would have meant Iceclad works in their not benefit. So there definitely was lines of play that might not have been great, but there was lines of play that could have been made for the Purple Hybrid player to try to get out of that sticky situation. It would have prolonged the game because then the HexaBlaumons wouldn't have swung for 2 checks each, but that's just the nature of the beast. So congratulations, Imperialdramon, for being able to take Japan. As I kind of stated like before, Imperial just feels like the deck where it has the tools and potentials to handle and counter almost everything in the game. The only issue with the deck is itself and its own consistency, but when it's able to come together, it is one of the best decks in the entire game. Purple Hybrids is kind of something similar. It has the aggression, and it does have some of the tech and tools to be able to handle a lot of different things in a lot of different situations, and unfortunately, the HexaBlaumon they weren't able to get rid of, and that steamrolled the game into Imperial's favor. So that is going to be it for this match. I hope you found this game and my commentary on the game to be pretty interesting and insightful. So, as always, feel free to tell me your thoughts about the match down in the comments below. And while you're down there, you might as well leave that like and subscribe if you find this type of content to be enjoyable and want more of it. And if you want to stay up to date when I upload or go live next, make sure to hit that notification bell. And with that, I hope to see everyone in the next video.